Alright guys, welcome back. So let's have a look at MSTR. So some people were asking to talk about this one daily, but if you're day trading this stock, here are a few things. But first, let's take a look at the stock. Okay, we still have one more hour and it's pushing today 8%. Let's take a look at the levels and then I'll tell you what I use daily. So far this 411-ish, 411. This is the area of resistance I was watching for quite some time. If I switch to hourly chart, this is the level where rejected after first attempt right here, gapping up where BTC was going crazy, but it rejected. And then right here again, next time it tried to gap over it, didn't fight through this 11, but it did gap over it and immediately was sold down. So this is the area of resistance I would be watching, and then from there I would be watching if it builds above 411, 417, I would watch 440, 450 for the stock. To the downside, well, this is the level 470, 370, 360-ish area. Ideally the short would be for me the 340 crack, but I have my alert there. It never got there, but it's gonna sit there until it reaches that level. But the biggest speculation is the yesterday, the QQQ, which is Nasdaq 100. So they are planning, maybe even this week actually, at the end of this week, they will kick out Super Microcomputer, SMCI, and Moderna, and they will add MicroStrategy and Palantir, or Palantir is already in there. Anyways, MSTR is one of the stocks that could be added to the ETF, QQQ ETF, okay? So that's the news, basically rumor. It's not an actual news yet. That's the rumor it is running on so far, okay? So in terms of trading to day traded, well, I use 5-day moving average, okay, 20-day moving average. Anytime stock is above it, it's long for me. So just like in the morning, right off the open, it did get back above its 5-day and 20-day. Versus yesterday, the day before yesterday, when it was staying below, it had a selling pressure, even from the algos as well, right? But also intraday, volume weighted average price, this purple line on my chart, I utilize this, and of course basic support resistance levels that you were watching so far. For today, we still have one more hour. This is the 411 that is trying to fight through right now. And also I keep an eye on option activity today. Put to call ratio about the same, 260,000 calls being traded, 216,000 puts being traded. Implied volatility for the rest of the year, $100. So let's say January 3rd, it is implying $100 up or down. That is pretty big move, 25% move up or down, but we know that this stock has pretty big range, $41 average to range. This is another thing I use. So stock so far today moved $33, and on average for the last 12 trading sessions, it had $41 average to range. So based on that, I could assume that it could have another $7 in the tank. But if it has moved already this much, I'm not someone who chases it. So I use average to range and I use option activity. I come take a look at the largest orders to see, let's say if I'm bullish, I want to see other people in the option market placing bets to the upside, coming in, attacking certain strikes. So far, I just filtered out today's price action. Stock is up 8%, 8.5% so far. And I see that there are a lot of calls and puts that are being traded with a big, large size are spreads. Which means people could be taking advantage of this elevated high implied volatility. You can see IV for somebody is trying to do December 250 and 320 spread. The only reason they will probably make money if implied volatility comes down and the stock comes down. There's no reason to buy like unless it's a hedge or something like that. For me personally, I don't do these sorts of debit or credit spreads, which are looking like it. But the point is, when I come here, I don't want to see spreads. I don't want to see a bunch of spreads. Okay, I want to see naked call buying. So something like this. I would like to go down where, okay, these are very crazy orders, but still, somebody bought, let's say, for the week, $550 call. This is naked call. And then somebody bought $500 call for next week. Something like this. Somebody bought next year's February 1040 call, which is, they're assuming that this stock is going to go 2.5 times up. A very crazy order. It could be sell order. But I want to see one strike, let's say 400 or 500, being bought over and over with small sizes or large sizes, but I want to see many of those orders to hit the tape. So far, it is pretty mixed bag. At the same time, I look at the stats. Where are those calls and puts being traded? Are people buying those calls at the asking price? Well, so far from today's volume, I see only 22% was at the asking price for the calls and 18% for the puts, which means most of these calls and puts, we already saw it, are spreads. So people are basically betting that this stock is going to still trade in the range. Even though it can break out, it will trade in the range. So this is what I'm watching for the stock. And also I look at the deltas that are being traded, which are for the puts. 76% of the puts traded so far between 0 to 20 delta, which means these are very far outside of the money puts. So people are not buying puts, they're selling those puts. Same thing with the calls, but calls a little bit further, where you can see there's not much of a in the money trading. And same thing, puts and calls probably being sold and taking advantage of the implied volatility. So to the downside, well, I already talked about the targets, and to the upside, same thing. This is in this range. Volume doesn't look super exciting. Volume is still low. It is still declining. And next week, probably last week, where we might have a little bit of a volatility and volume in anticipation of a Fed rate cut. But after that, it's going to pretty much die down for the rest of the year. So if you're somebody who's a naked buyer just like me, you're going to be careful. Stock is already up 550% year to date. So, and again, I'm watching neutral to so far, a little bit of a maybe upside potential here if we do get the news and stock breaks out. But after if it reaches these $450 levels, and if it starts having hard time after inclusion to QQQ, I would basically fade that move, meaning I would be watching it to the downside. So that's my take for MSTR. And also looks like one thing I forgot to mention is they added some Bitcoins, okay? They have a little bit more now, 2 billion, and that was December 9th, if you take a look at the SEC filings. But I don't see anything else. But that's the update for MSTR. That's what I'm watching. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.